Most indie artists overlook the musicians who engineered the blueprint modern music still follows, and it's really holding their songwriting back. I know because I spent most of my life doing exactly that same thing. Picture it. You're sitting in front of your DAW. The loop works, the chords sound okay, the groove feels solid, but after 8 bars, something is missing. The track just doesn't breathe, and there's no gravity and no sense of movement. So you start adding layers, and you try new sounds, and you tweak the mix, and you scroll through plugins, because of course you do, and it's still flat. And for years, I thought the problem was my own production, or my tools, or my inspiration, but the real problem was structure. In this video, I'm going to show you the discovery that's reshaping how I write songs, and it came from a composer who died maybe 300 years ago, but it's changing how my music breathes and builds and lands emotionally. And the strange part is, I avoided this music on purpose. I was always a drummer. I lived with groove and rock and fusion and jazz and Chick Corea records with Dave Weckl and John Patitucci, which just felt alive to me. Classical music felt disconnected from everything that I actually cared about. There was no urgency or immediate edge and no rock drum style pulse that just grabbed you in the chest immediately. So I ignored monster composers like Bach, Mozart, Beethoven. And don't get me wrong, in college I was forced to listen and learn about them, but since it wasn't what I wanted to be doing, I didn't allow myself to really hear them. Then much later in life, I sat down and listened differently, not for beauty, not for emotion, but for mechanics. What I heard stopped me cold. Bach was solving the exact problems that most indie artists struggle with today. How to take one idea and make it carry an entire song. How to create momentum without clutter, and how to build emotional direction without piling on stems and tracks. And he was engineering flow. Once you hear it, you just can't unhear it. You begin hearing the same architecture like in Radiohead, in James Blake, in Sufjan Stevens, in modern producers who build entire tracks from evolving loops. You also start hearing what's missing in your own work. And if you've ever felt like your songs have good parts but maybe weak gravity, this video is for you. Because by the end, you're going to know how to take a single idea and turn it into a complete song that feels intentional from the first second to the last. So, like most indie artists, I build songs from patterns like loops, layers, tension, release. The issue isn't repetition. The issue is really unconscious repetition. Early on, I noticed something really strange. Some ideas naturally grew into these full songs, and others felt stiff and lifeless no matter how much effort I poured into them. And I assumed it was inspiration or talent or luck, but it was none of these. The difference was whether the pattern had architecture. Bach taught me that repetition isn't supposed to be static, it's really supposed to evolve. A small idea isn't something that you escape from, it's something that you mine deeply. That single shift changed how I hear music. At first, before all of this, drumming rewired how I experienced music. I stopped hearing just melody and lyrics, and I began hearing engines, frameworks, and the invisible structure holding everything together. Behind the kit, I could guide the emotional arc of a song without even saying a single word. A lift here, a restraint there, space when it mattered. And for a long time, I assumed everyone heard music this way, but they didn't. That's when I realized something important. Some people hear surface first. Other people hear architecture. And if you're still watching this, you're probably somebody who hears architecture too. You feel it when something is almost working but not quite, and you sense it when a song has potential but just lacks that cohesion. Bach gives you a language for fixing that. Now, people assume Bach is about complexity. The truth is the opposite. Bach is about clarity. Listen to James Blake, like in Retrograde. The vocal figure repeats almost unchanged while the harmony shifts underneath it. It's such beautiful music. The emotional movement comes from evolution and not from clutter. Bach does that constantly. The prelude in C major is nothing more than broken chords, really. It's no big melody, no production tricks, yet it feels like it's going somewhere inevitable. What about Radiohead? They built the song Street Spirit almost entirely around one repeating guitar pattern. Sufjan Stevens constructs entire emotional worlds from small motifs. Fortet and John Hopkins start these tiny ideas and they let subtle changes carry the listener forward. This isn't new thinking, it's really just old thinking applied really well. Bach opens the first cello suite with endless arpeggios, and somehow It just never feels repetitive. The third Brandenburg Concerto grooves harder than most people expect because these rhythmic cells evolve instead of stagnating. My friend Jonathan Andrew Risden and I wrote this song called The Edge, and Jonathan used that same philosophy in it. One idea deeply explored, and I'm going to link that in the description for you. By the way, a quick shout out to Jonathan because he inspired me to go back and really listen to Bach again. And without Jonathan, I probably would have missed all of this completely. Since I really started listening to Bach over the past couple of years, there's something I still find unsettling, but in the best possible way. When I play Bach at home, my pet birds start singing along to it, and it's not like random. They actually lock into the patterns. So I did an experiment, and I played this music when my children were in the room, and the entire room shifted. Energy lowered, focus increased. The space felt organized. And that is crazy. Rock and electronic music just never did that. This isn't like nostalgia. It's actually structure affecting nervous systems. I mean, what kind of a mind creates patterns so coherent that even animals respond to them? Okay, so I was a history major in college. Let me nerd out for just 1 minute. Bach lived in this era obsessed with order and symmetry in design. He took the musical language of his time, he pushed it to its logical extreme, and he didn't lose emotional depth. Here's the practical takeaway, though, for you. You don't need theory, you don't need to analyze scores, you don't need to change how you develop ideas. Just mine one idea really deeply. And start with one motif, a rhythm, chord movement, a texture, a melody fragment, and stay with it longer than it feels comfortable. Repeat it, invert it, fragment it, stretch it, let it evolve into verses, chorus, and bridge. Create energy through variation instead of layers. Instead of adding more tracks, change the pattern, shift the rhythm, alter the harmony, widen the voicing. Motion should come from inside the idea and not from stacking these sounds. Treat every element like a voice in a conversation. Ask what role each part plays. Lead, support, respond, create tension. Release the tension. Use one line to imply many voices. Arpeggios, broken chords, rhythmic figures can suggest complexity without actual complexity. One instrument can feel like an entire ensemble. Move harmony under the repetition. This creates emotional inevitability, and it feels natural instead of like manufactured. Let repetition become emotional instead of boring. Listeners don't hate loops after all, they just hate static loops. So step back and listen to the architecture. Does the song feel like it knows where it's going? Does each section feel necessary? Does the structure support the emotion instead of fighting against it? These shifts sound really small, but they're actually not. They change everything. And you don't need any formal education to hear what Bach is doing. You simply need to listen differently. Listen for patterns, listen for evolution, and listen for how parts interlock rather than compete with each other. Structure isn't this cold thing. It's what allows emotion to kind of land cleanly. And if you want a starting point, begin here, all linked in the description. First, air on the G string. Slow, focused, weightless. You got to hear this one. And then Brandenburg Concerto No. 3, which is fast and conversational and just full of motion. And then last, Prelude No. 1 in C major, which is simple on the surface and just brilliant underneath. And don't analyze it. Just listen and then listen again. Your ears are going to start connecting the dots all on their own. Bach proves that great music isn't built from endless ideas. It's built from one idea explored honestly and deeply. Song structure doesn't limit your creativity. It actually unlocks it. Once you hear this, you can't go back. Your loops are going to start to breathe. Your arrangements are going to feel more intentional. And your songs are going to feel like they know exactly where they're going. I'm Kevin from Innovaniac Music. We help indie artists produce great music, get published, and build a growing audience. So if this resonated with you, subscribe for more deep dives into songwriting, music psychology, and the realities of living in the modern music business. Until the next video, dream big and create boldly.